Hello, everybody. Thanks for listening to my show again this week. And today I have Jay Collins on the show. We're going to get right to it because I don't want to waste 1 ounce of time. Jay, welcome.
Good to be on. Thanks for having me.
I'm very happy to have you on because I have never openly endorsed anybody on my show, but I am voting for you this coming election. And there are many reasons why. But Jay, please tell my listeners in your own words about yourself. And I'm asking you to talk about your military experience too.
Well, and thank you. It's sometimes it's pretty astounding. God's plan is bigger than ours. It truly is. If you told me 5 years ago I'd be in politics, I would have laughed at you. I was born to a 16-year-old kid, adopted by my grandparents, born into poverty. We lost our family farm. It's all the makings of a great country song, right? And went to college for a couple of years, lost my scholarship, joined the army, went into intel, kind of an odd fit. Got into special forces. So incredibly grateful to have been around incredible men, people who really taught me to be who I am today in the attention to detail, the things that we do from a kinetic standpoint, and how we apply that logic to everything we do. It changed the game for me. And being a small part of that community is an incredible blessing. I did get shot. It's completely overrated. I did do surgery on myself in the field. That's also overrated, but I do have two hands. So pretty excited about that. I got hit by a mortar. I fell and broke my back, bled a bunch of discs. That led to the amputation of my leg about 7 years later. And I requalified as a Green Beret, did 5 years after. My wife is also a 20-year combat veteran. She was a counter intel agent. We both worked at the special missions and special operations community pretty much our entire adult lives. We both deployed to Afghanistan, Iraq, and a bunch of other places on what we'll call business trips. And, I got to brag about her, and I love doing this. When I was laying in a hospital bed, unsure if I was going to be able to walk, run, jump, be an active dad, husband, let alone requalify, she actually retired to take care of us, to take care of our son, Gabe, at the time, who was throwing up 10, 12, 14 times a day from sensory processing disorder. And we had 5 miscarriages. We were doing IVF and IUI at the same time. So all of that's on her plate, and she decides she's going to retire. She was the very best at what she did, the senior counter intel agent in all of Army Special Operations. And she decided it was more important to take care of our family. I wouldn't be where I am if she hadn't helped us. She hadn't done what we all do, which is sacrifice and push forward. So I always make a point to say she gave me a leg to stand on before I had one. And, she's my ride or die, my best friend and the person who's been there through thick and thin.
Mhm. One thing that you said to me that was really interesting was the fact that you were born to a 16-year-old. Did you say that? You said that,
I
right?
did.
Yeah.
Sure did.
And that's really interesting to me because so many people talk about how you have to have all sorts of money before you can go into politics, how you're born into money, you're born into something here. And obviously, you're saying that's not true.
Yeah, no, I was not born into a silver spoon. But we didn't even have spoons at some point, I'm pretty sure. So, look, it's not where you come from. It's what you do with where you come from. If I can do it, man, anybody can do it. And this is one of the things that's really important for our veteran community to understand. And it's a lesson that I learned in special forces, assessment and selection, to be clear. Do not self-select. Don't tell yourself you can't do it. Don't get in your head. Get in, get in the mix. And if you win, fantastic. Keep pushing. If you fail, figure it out. Get up and try again. Man, anything's possible in this country. It truly is. You just got to put the time in.
Mhm. Some of my old school listeners know that I've been in the military community a long time, putting out podcasts, putting out radio shows. And one thing that continuously comes up over the years, probably every 3 or 4 years, is we're going to get somebody who's doing ultra amazing. I consider you doing ultra amazing things. And then you have some military veterans who are throwing you under the bus. It's like a dog eat dog community sometimes. And I say that with all my listeners knowing it because we've all seen it. What do you say to something like that?
It's frustrating, but look, to me, the mission is the same. I'm a warrior. I am who I am. I worked in the nonprofit sector. I work in government. I was privileged and honored to be among heroes in special operations, guys who I look up to this day. I was never the strongest, the fastest, or the best, but I sure did learn from some of those guys. And I'm so grateful for the lessons they taught me. We got to stop tearing people apart. Look, I have been told I'm not talking enough about my experience. I've been told stop talking about yourself. The fact is this, from a legal standpoint, I can share stories. And if we don't use our voice and talk about our experiences as veterans, we're being silent, not quiet. I'm a quiet professional. I'm going to share my experiences, but then I want to talk about other people. But my hope and my dream is that we have veterans step in and step up and continue to lead. If you're a veteran, you've signed that dotted line, the proverbial contract up to the last full measure, but you've also solved complex problems, geopolitical problems, probably with duct tape and bubble gum in a country where people were trying to kill you.
Mhm,
That's
mhm,
so incredibly useful. When our grit gets back out there into the world, Florida wins. When Florida wins, America wins. I love this nation, man. There is no place like it. I have seen most of the planet, and I would die for this country today if I had to, because it's worth protecting. But it's going to happen because our veterans continue to fight, continue to serve, and we have to tell our stories. You know, when I jumped into politics, I won't share the names because it's not right to do that. But I was concerned about the exact thing we're talking about, and they said, Jay, you're a bit of a dumbass. I was like, wow, okay, I didn't expect that. Why? He said, look, man, you've been shot, you lost a leg, you requalified, you kept serving, you've done so honorably. If we don't use our voices, what are we doing? You got
mhm,
to protect
mhm,
that next generation, and you got to lean in. You're exactly what we have to have out there doing it. You know, I went into politics knowing that it would reflect on my entire regiment, and it's a heavy burden, and it's something I think about every single day. I promise you, and it's something I carry with me every day. But what I learned from that conversation, and talking to a lot of people who I respect, you know, older guys who taught me, is that look, we failed a lot of people because we didn't talk about what we learned. We failed to educate the population. Every time our nation has hit the skids or things have gotten tight, it's never the politicians, it's not the bureaucrats. It is the working class, the people who create jobs, do hard things, and it's the warriors who step to the front. We have to share that. We have to connect with the people in the community. And by God, our warriors have to lead. Our nation is better off when that happens.
mhm. Absolutely. And you lived through that for a reason. And I don't think it's to sit quietly and do nothing.
That's right.
Those listening know my husband he was wounded in war, and not to compare injuries at all because his were completely different than yours. And no veterans' injuries are exactly the same. But the point of the story is if we don't, as collectively a military community, stand behind those who have sacrificed so much for our country, then what was all of this? It would just be in vain.
That's right.
So,
Well,
mhm,
that's exactly it. You know, my job is to protect and preserve what we have. I
mhm,
love it. I love my family. I have two little boys that are 11 and 14, and I hope and pray that they have peace in their time. So I sure would prefer the war is now. I have to fight something. Let me fix it for them.
mhm, mhm. Absolutely. And we have some questions that have come in. And one is from Operation Outdoor Freedom Volunteer, who's one of my favorites, actually, my husband. And he's like, hey, ask Jay about this. So I'm going to ask you. There was a promise for Peace River State Forest, and it was that it would be used for military veterans. And there's a lot of people who back that cause, a lot of people who donated to get it up and going. And there's a little bit of concern that it's been opened up to some public horseback riding, and some people want to open it up to different types of organizations in their camps. And what do you say about that, or what can you do about that, or how should we approach it when we see some of the areas of Florida that were intended for veterans to be used to kind of start fizzling out a little bit?
Well, there's always creep, right? And that's an unfortunate reality. You do something and then others want to come in. I
Mhm,
think I don't have the details on this. You know,
mhm,
that's not the area where I'm right, not right next to it. But
mhm,
I would love to come check it out with my eyes. You know,
mhm,
one of my favorite parts of being lieutenant governor is I can pretty much show up and get in the mix on anything
mhm,
and everything. I
mhm,
love it. You know, I've had opportunities to go get on a crane and work knuckle booms in the lumber industry, which boggled people's minds, and get out there on a boat with people who are trying to figure out why the rivers aren't flowing properly in certain areas. And then, look, man, I'm a veteran. I'm married to a veteran. My best friends in the world are all veterans right now.
mhm,
And I'm very grateful for it. I'm happy to come out there. Would love to see it and love to understand exactly what's going on.
mhm,
And if we can shine a light on something that I can help out with, great. But in the end, let's talk about it. Show
mhm,
me what's going on. I'm happy to.
mhm. I love that. And then we have some high schoolers who wrote in, which I was
I
very
love that.
happy about because I mean, high schoolers, they're seniors. And so they're really concerned about Florida, which go figure, you always hear about teenagers who are not involved, and now we have a bunch of them. So we have a question from Nick, and he says, what are your thoughts on the current housing market in Florida?
Well, there are many things ongoing, and this is going to have to be a little bit wide of an answer just
Mhm.
because it's incredibly complex.
Mhm.
There are many things that have made our market a little difficult. We're pricing people out of it, right? But why? First off, the two things that we can fix that are most readily solvable are permitting and impact fees. Permitting is an absolute nightmare across the state of Florida. And it's not just the cost of the permit, it's actually the stacking cost of carrying that debt when a permit runs from 6 months to 12 to 20 to 30. You're paying all of that. It's adding 10 to 30, sometimes up to 40% cost increase simply because of the debt that you're carrying. That interest is paid by somebody.
Mhm.
We got to fix that. I can't imagine trying to stabilize that. But where it gets really frightening is if it's true in non-disaster, then it's compounded in disaster. So when you couple that with the 50% rule from FEMA, which adds, you hit 50%, the structure's got to be torn down. When that happens, a lot of corporations have been buying homes, which I'm completely against. And that's something we're already fighting against, as is the president, which I'm really grateful for. Here's the problem. We don't have enough people doing that. We don't have enough clarity in the regulations. And while I think the statute's clear, many people are doing what I would call a Kentucky windage model of this. They're reading it and they're applying their own tone and rhetoric. That's not acceptable. We're going to have to do something legislative. We're going to have to drive this home and provide clarity. And impact fees have become like, that junk drawer in your kitchen where you
Oh,
don't
yeah.
know what is in there. Impact fees have turned into the junk drawer of money, right? Don't know how else to get the money in there, so we put an impact fee. They're getting very, very broad. And, impact fees specifically, there's a point and a position for those, but they can't be out of control like they are now. Again, you're seeing an incredible cost increase. That's driving up rates and cost overall. That's driving up insurance markets. That's driving up your property tax value. So you're getting hit three times in just those issues. So we can fix that. I think we have to talk a little bit about inventory. I would love to hear from the younger generation as they move into 18 to 25, 26, and you start thinking about buying a home. What do you want? What I'm seeing, and this is pretty unique, when I was a kid, when I was in my 20s, 22, 23, looking to buy a home, I wanted 1,800 to 2,200 square feet. I wanted a yard and I wanted a fence. What I'm seeing is a lot of kids don't want the same thing. They would rather have a master plan community with running tracks and trails and little places to eat, to put their footprint down and have a little bit smaller home. Well, if that works, well, now that's more cost effective. You can get a lower price point with a home and you can really make that thing incredibly strong in terms of hurricane resiliency as well. That entire community, because of how it's built. I think we got to talk a little bit about inventory with our builder community, but that's a community forum thing. I would
Mhm.
love to hear from your audience on that. And then last, what we're doing in property tax is incredible. It is. Getting rid of the first $250,000 home value, that makes your first time home buyers manageable. That's money right back in your pockets. And in the next 5 years, that should bump up to 500,000 as we steady that thing. That's an incredible thing. That's money back in your pocket. That's you owning your home. That's your piece of the American pie and a place for you to put down your roots. That makes it manageable and affordable.
Mhm. Mhm. I know there's a lot of young people right now who are very worried about the cost of living in Florida. Even my kids alone, my two youngers, which I say younger, 30 and under, um, you know, they just moved back into our house. And
Mm.
for us, it's nice because, I have the extra help and there's a lot going on at home that I need help with. But on the flip side, it's also kind of discouraging and a little bit sad for some of these younger people. I know a lot of people in foreign countries, they all move in for family wealth and things like that. But the economy in Florida, it seems pretty high right now. I mean, even when we travel to other states, the grocery stores are very expensive. The cost of living is very expensive. I'm not really sure what we can do about that because, I mean, overall, it seems like there is a lot of inflation throughout the country. And I'm not sure if you have any suggestions for those kids who are like, you know what, I make decent money, but I don't want all of my money to go to a mortgage or all of my money to, go to pay basic necessities or even health care.
Yeah, so a lot of that last answer applies here. But I
Hmm.
think the other area that we're working on is property insurance, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
We've got to do several things. What we did in tort reform did incredible things. We were down to one insurance company. We're at 17 and growing now. We had 77% of the litigated claims, but only 7% of the functional claims on average in the state of Florida. We were lawsuit crazy. There's still some more we can do. We still have inherently too much fraud,
Hmm. Oh, yes. Oh,
especially
yes.
after a hurricane.
Oh,
We have
yes.
got to get serious about holding those people
Hmm.
accountable and
Hmm.
hammer them. We
Hmm.
really do. Because it's distributing cost across everybody. That's one. There's some jurisdictional things where some insurance companies, when it goes to suit or they try to go to the court system, they're trying to take it out of Florida. I'm not okay with that, right? I think there's some extreme transparency tools that we can utilize from a graphic interface or a dashboard footprint. So you have the price you're quoted is the price you get. I think that's something you can do. And there's little things we can do to tune up tort reform. Short of building a wall, we're not going to get rid of hurricanes in Florida. I wish we could,
Hmm.
right? What we can do is make sure that we build properties, we have a code that's adhered to, and we have affordable, manageable uh, homes across the community. But you hit on something. They have good paying jobs.
Hmm.
We have to provide more opportunity. The amount of people who are underemployed in this state is shocking. And this really goes into illegal immigration. It goes into the H-1B visa.
Hmm.
We've been told that our job force, well, they just can't compete. That's a farce.
Hmm.
It is an absolute farce. Our people can compete. And the functional truth is you have a degree, you can get in there, get hyper specific individual training on that job if you have the traits. That's what many leaders do. That's what I did when I hired.
Hmm.
And you bring them in and they grow within that. Those are entry level jobs for most H-1Bs. Those are $60,000, $65,000 jobs. We have offshored those to people in foreign countries, and we've neglected our people. I will never apologize for putting Floridians first, for
Hmm.
putting Americans first. That's my job. That's my responsibility. So I am well behind getting rid of the H-1B visa. H-2A, I think you need to start drawing that down. But right now, I don't have a perfect solution for that other than making the agronomic model work. But that also has to come down. But H-1Bs on all levels, I think, have to be solved immediately. And we have people who put folks into the workforce now. Our veterans can get out, come here, and get a really solid job in the community and then transition in and continue to grow, make themselves competitive. Those first time jobs, that's where they lie. And, I think this falls into education. I'm a fan of classical education. I am on record saying the state should move towards classical education, but I also want at the 11th to 12th grade level to have a hybridization option where you want to go into the trades. We should have local businesses, regional businesses work with our schools through adjunct professor, adjunct instructor credentials and get people out there into industry. You can't tell me that someone who's been doing a job for 20 years as an expert can't teach someone to weld, to do pipe fitting, electrician, plumbing. Those jobs are critical and they're great paying jobs. We have to stop having that inherent bias on bachelor's, master's, PhD and
Oh,
put people
yes.
out there into careers.
Oh, yes. And then all the propaganda that a lot of the colleges like to push into the kids' heads.
That's right.
Um, so we have another question, and this is from another high schooler who says, how do you plan to address wildlife urbanization in Florida?
Yeah, so it's balance. Right
Mhm.
now in this election, you have three options. You have Byron Donalds, who's kind of said, "Hey, look, people are coming, suck it up, Buttercup." That's
Mhm.
not the solution. You have some who want to have this European Union style moratorium where we're basically going to put a wall up, not let people in, 50% taxes. I mean, it's nonsense. And you can't just say you're not doing this without functional proof or reason how it's harming the community. What you can do is what Governor DeSantis has been doing. What I propose, because I'm the lieutenant governor, I don't have to talk about leading the state. I already am. Uh, you have to have guardrails and you have to drive this thing forward, right? So, first off, development, you got to keep agriculture. If we can't feed ourselves, we lose everything. Food security is a national security issue. You got to keep our beaches and waterways. People visiting our state, tourism is always one or two in terms of how our economic sectors are developed and built. We love our beaches, we love our waterways, we love those green areas across the state. That includes our wildlife and the wildlife corridors. We have done incredible work under Governor DeSantis. That will continue under my watch. We have to maintain that. Florida has to remain what it is. That's why people come here. If we destroy it, what are we left with? A hotter, no Four Seasons version of New York. Nobody wants that. Florida is beautiful because it's Florida, because we made it into what we want. Let's keep it the way we have it. So we have to manage growth on our terms, simply put.
Oh, yeah. One of the things that's been driving us crazy lately around in our neighborhood is the people who are coming down here from the north trying to bring their politics in blue states and trying to bring them down here in red states. They come here because they love our ethics and everything we have going on, and then they try to switch it around. We don't like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, don't New York or Florida, please.
Right. No, no, thank you. Here's a question from Susan. She says, what is your stance with all of the data centers that are
Hmm.
popping up?
I suspected that was coming. So look, take all the answers from growth and apply it to data centers. But let's get hyper specific. There are six things that we got to talk about. One is energy. You can't pass rates on. No cost to the people, hard stop. It's non-negotiable. If you don't have your own internalized plan to build this with zero energy transference, and you're not going to build, hard stop. Water is the same way. They're very, very, very expensive in terms of water requirements. One hyperscaler takes the amount of water compared to a city of 50,000 people. That's frightening. That's diverting water. That's harming our people. No, not negotiable. If you impact our waterways, our aquifers, you have secondary, tertiary, even quaternary level impacts on the water areas, the answer is no. You have to have a mitigation. You have to have that plan, and you got to have follow-up. If you go outside those, you're going to get hammered. Third thing is this. I want to have extreme transparency on who the customer is. We're not going to bring people in here who hate Florida, who hate our views, and are going to undermine what we are. I'm not bringing that in. It's like the old Dracula movies, right? You invite Dracula into your home, you lose your power. Let's not do that. Let's be smart consumers and make sure we know who we're bringing into Florida. And then here's three things on AI. And these to me are non-negotiable. And they're things that, as a dad, I think are incredibly important. One, that front end engine in AI, it has to be data pure, meaning no more the inherent bias with the climate alarmism, all the DEI garbage, all these things that divide our people, that contradict our founding fathers' intent, our principles. Stop, non-negotiable. Has to be data pure, only on the line, and move this thing forward as an adjunct, a tool. It's like a hammer. Second thing is this. The homicidal, suicidal, ideational aspects of AI, that is a problem. There has to be accountability. If that happens, I am going to push forward, and I'm going to push for accountability from whoever had a part of that. And the third thing, and probably the most principled and important thing we can do, AI will never replace people. AI is an adjunct. It is a tool to be utilized by people. AI would have told you that this poor kid who grew up in a trailer would never have had an opportunity because statistically, it didn't happen. They would have told you that when I got injured, shot, lost my leg, I was done. They would have told you that when I requalified and got into the nonprofit sector, all the things we tried to do and did weren't possible. That politically, everything I've tried to do wouldn't have happened. AI would never have bet on me. AI doesn't understand the human dynamic, how powerful the human spirit is, how powerful the potential is within each of us. So we have to have people in control. AI works for us. It doesn't replace us.
And now I have another question for you, and it's a tough one for me because I'm a nonprofit CEO at the Black Feather Foundation, and we've been advocating for girls who are missing in Manatee and Sarasota County. And we know for a fact that these girls had fentanyl issues, that these girls were groomed. How in the world are we going to handle this huge fentanyl crisis? It's big. And, at first I thought, it's really not that big. It only affects a few people. Oh, these girls are taking it by choice. But then you really start getting into the nitty gritty of it. And it's pretty bad, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, so look, having the border closed is huge, but now it's moving in different ways, right? We're going to have to work with law enforcement on a federal, state, and local level. I will tell you, I'm encouraged by one thing. I have seen more cooperation, more work together in a combinative manner in the last 2 years than I have seen at any point in my life. It's incredible. We have DEA, we have Border Patrol, we have all of these guys working on immigration, working on drugs. You have the FBI working with us, all rowing the boat the same direction. If you've been around government, you know that you get three tiers of government working together, they're all going different directions. That just hasn't been the case. It's incredible. So kudos to President Trump and his team. Kudos to Governor DeSantis, and kudos to people getting under this nest and pushing forward to protect our people. But we're
Hmm.
going to have to go on the offensive. We're going to have to make sure that we help eradicate this because it's killing lives.
Hmm.
I've talked to too many parents who've been impacted negatively,
Hmm.
either through the loss of a loved one, through serious harm to a loved one, or someone was lost because somebody else was under the influence of fentanyl or something like that. And then
Hmm.
let's just talk about the trafficking aspect of this. That's modern day slavery.
Hmm.
It has to be eradicated.
Mhm. Absolutely. And I want to give a shout out to Caitlin Sant's mother. I talk to her very often, and she has been grieving the not knowing where her daughter is for the last 2 years. And, it's these situations are extremely sad. And I push America first, and these girls are, America first. And so hopefully anybody out there with information on Caitlin, please come forward. Or if you can help, if you're listening, please come forward. And Jay, do you have any suggestions for normal civilians who want to help get involved in trying to advocate for some of the missing people? Because some people, they're like, we don't know how to do this. We don't know where to start. We don't know how to do this safely. Um, any
Yeah.
suggestions?
So yeah, reach out to your sheriff, reach out to the FDLE, reach out to FHP. They all have programs that work combinatively for this. I believe the Attorney General has a program, and you have to lean in and help work with the government. We have so many people across the state working on this thing. We have our own human trafficking task force as well that is incredibly driven and focused on this issue. Reach out to all of them, take part in it, make sure that your voice, your concerns are heard, and let's bring people on target for this.
Right. I was surprised to hear that Dade County had over 50 missing people that are out there somewhere, not accounted for. And that's only since 2015. And that was a few weeks ago. So it could be different by now. But
Yeah,
it's a pretty big issue that I think that our citizens are getting really tired of. And so anything we can do to come together to fight this, let's do it.
absolutely.
So thank you, Jay. And thank you so much for your service. Thank you for everything that you've done for our state. And thank you for being an amazing lieutenant governor and the next governor of Florida.
Well, thank you. It's a privilege to be on here, and I appreciate the conversation. I would encourage people, if you want to know more, reach out, get on our website. That's jforflorida.com. Follow us on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, any of those normal platforms. We're out there, and we want to hear from you. So I appreciate it, and thanks again for the questions and the opportunity to share a little bit about our story and what we're going to do.
Thank you. How do people get involved in campaigning for you?
Go to jforflorida.com, sign up, volunteer. If you choose to donate, we don't run on unicorns and rainbows on this one. We have to have cold, hard American cash to pay for all the things that make this happen. But we need people to sign up, volunteer, and join our team. You can click the link right there on our webpage. It's the easiest way to do it.
Thank you. Thank you, Jay. And everybody listening, I'm going to have all that information in the show notes. I'm going to be able to give you all the information on how to sign up to Campaign for Jay. It's very important. We cannot let those who don't have the best interest of our state win. So,
Yeah, great point. And let me say this. It is a time for choosing.
Mhm.
We can choose to fall back and be more like DC. I would submit that it's time for us to stand and fight. I need DC to be more like Florida. We have to continue to fight and be who we are. When Florida leads, America wins. It's our responsibility to protect this great nation as we have in the last 7 years under Governor Ron DeSantis. We got to keep this fight forward.
Mhm. Absolutely. And I do want to add one more thing, and that is I do have a lot of military veterans listening to this show. You want to know what you can do. This is something that you can do, and you can get active in politics. It's not too late.
100%. That is a great point. Well said.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
See ya.
Thank you.